Yotsuha Kominato carries a presence that feels like a quiet breath of wind drifting across a calm afternoon, the kind of sensation that settles softly into the heart without ever making noise. When one begins to think about her, the first impression is never dramatic or intense. Instead, it forms slowly, gently, the way morning light reveals itself little by little through a thin shoji screen. She embodies a type of beauty and aura that does not seek to overwhelm anyone. Rather, she exists like a subtle fragrance drifting from a cup of warm tea, a warmth you only realize after a few moments of being near it. Among the many faces within the entertainment landscape of Japan, her presence stands out not because of flamboyance or boldness, but because she carries an atmosphere that feels unmistakably tender. It is a softness that is not fragile but grounded, the kind of softness that is calm, deliberate, and deeply comforting. Her beauty does not rely on sharp outlines or dramatic contrasts. Instead, it emerges through quiet details, her gentle eyes, the natural curve of her expressions, the slight hesitance in her smile, as though she is both present and modest at the same time. She gives the impression of someone who values stillness, someone who speaks with her gaze long before she opens her mouth. When Japanese audiences describe her, they often use words like yasashii, shizuka, and atatakai, all of which reflect softness, peacefulness, and warmth. These qualities are woven into every moment she appears on screen, creating an atmosphere that feels distinctly Japanese, where subtle emotion is more powerful than any showy gestures. Her aura is deeply connected to her sense of calmness. She has an ability to make any space feel quieter simply by being in it, not because she draws attention away from others, but because she harmonizes with whatever surrounds her. This is a kind of presence that many Japanese viewers find especially appealing, the type that feels soothing, almost therapeutic. It is as if she carries a small lantern inside her chest, glowing softly but steadily, illuminating but never blinding. This lantern-like aura becomes part of her identity, shaping the way she moves, the way she breathes, and the way she expresses emotions. She does not rush. Her energy is one of gentle patience. Even in moments when she expresses joy or surprise, her reactions remain grounded and natural, never exaggerated. This sense of restraint is not a limitation but a form of elegance, an emotional refinement that resonates deeply with audiences who appreciate nuance. Visually, Yotsuha Kominato has what could be described as a light-touch presence. Her appearance does not need to be heavily enhanced. Instead, the beauty she carries rests in her simplicity. Her makeup is often minimalistic, allowing the natural softness of her features to shine through. Her skin has an almost translucent quality, reminiscent of the delicate texture of Japanese washi paper. Her eyes, though gentle in shape, hold a depth that reflects a quiet intelligence. When she looks at the camera, her gaze is not forceful. It is curious, receptive, and subtly emotional. This type of visual softness is incredibly aligned with Japanese aesthetics, which often value modesty, naturalness, and understated charm. In an era where loud styles and bold personalities often dominate, Yotsuha's quiet allure becomes even more distinctive and refreshing. The emotional expressions she shows on screen reveal another layer of her appeal. Her facial muscles move with a refined delicacy, conveying emotions through micro-expressions rather than grand gestures. A small shift in her eyes can communicate melancholy. A faint lift of her lips can express affection. The slightest tilt of her head can reveal thoughtfulness. She possesses the type of emotional transparency that feels unforced and truthful. This ability to express meaning through subtle gestures aligns perfectly with Japanese cinematic traditions, where quiet emotions often carry more impact than dramatic ones. Many viewers describe her as someone who can turn silence into a form of storytelling, as though her presence alone has a narrative quality. Her charm, especially through the lens of Japanese taste, lies in the balance she maintains between purity and maturity. There is an innocence in her demeanor, but it is not naive. It is the kind of innocence that comes from sincerity rather than inexperience. At the same time, she carries a quiet emotional depth, suggesting she observes the world with attentiveness and sensitivity. This combination of traits, gentleness, sincerity, calmness, emotional depth, is highly valued in Japanese culture. It evokes the image of a traditional Japanese heroine, someone who does not need to raise her voice to be heard, who does not demand attention yet naturally earns it. In terms of personality, the glimpses seen through interviews or behind-the-scenes footage show Yotsuha as someone who speaks softly, chooses her words with care, and often offers a shy smile before responding. She gives the impression of someone who thinks before she speaks, someone who does not rush to fill silence, but instead respects the natural flow of conversation. People around her seem to feel at ease, perhaps because she does not project intensity or pressure. Instead, she creates a space that feels comfortable, unguarded, and gentle. Her laughter, though quiet, has a genuine warmth that makes others smile. She seems like the kind of person who carries a calm inner world, someone who observes life thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Her journey in building her image and presence has also been one of gradual growth. When she first appeared publicly, she carried an air of slight shyness, as though she were stepping into the light from a familiar shadow. Her movements were small, her expressions were delicate, and she often appeared with a hint of hesitation. But as time passed, she grew more confident, not through dramatic changes, but through subtle sharpening of her own essence. What is admirable is that she never abandoned her original softness. She did not trade her gentle identity for a more aggressive or trendy persona. Instead, she refined her own natural qualities, strengthening her calmness, deepening her emotional clarity, and embracing her understated charm. This slow and steady development has allowed her uniqueness to remain intact. She has built her public presence the way moss grows over stone, quietly, steadily, and beautifully. Visually, her progression can be seen through the way she carries herself. Earlier in her journey, her posture occasionally reflected timidity, with shoulders slightly drawn inward and steps taken lightly as if she were unsure of how much space she was allowed to occupy. Over time, she began to stand with quieter confidence. Her shoulders relaxed, her gaze steadied, and her movements grew smoother. Even when she portrays stronger emotions, she does so without sacrificing the softness that defines her. It is this ability to grow while staying true to herself that makes her an inspiring figure. Her transformation is like the slow blooming of a camellia flower, unhurried, dignified, and captivating. When one reflects on her body of work, a clear visual identity emerges. Every appearance, whether in still images, motion, or even candid moments, carries the same atmospheric softness. She seems to glow not with brightness but with warmth. This consistent emotional tone gives her an almost cinematic quality, as though she belongs in a slow, atmospheric film set in a quiet Japanese town. Her presence could easily fit into scenes of a countryside afternoon, cherry blossoms floating on a stream, or a quiet lantern-lit festival at dusk. These are images that align with her energy because she herself feels like a gentle moment captured in time. What makes Yotsuha Kominato memorable is not the intensity of her beauty, but the emotional residue she leaves on people's hearts. After observing her, one carries a feeling of calmness, an impression of soft warmth similar to the sensation of holding a warm cup on a cold day. She offers comfort without effort, beauty without pretense, and emotional resonance without noise. This is rare in any industry, and even rarer in one where the competition often encourages flashiness. She stands as a reminder that gentleness can also be powerful, that softness can be compelling, and that silence can speak louder than loudness when conveyed with sincerity. In conclusion, Yotsuha Kominato represents a uniquely Japanese form of elegance, quiet, warm, subtle, and deeply human. Her beauty is not one that demands attention but one that quietly holds it. Her expression is not loud, yet it holds depth. Her presence is not forceful, yet it lingers. She is like a soft melody played on a calm evening, like the glow of paper lanterns in a still alleyway, like the comfort of familiarity found in the smallest moments. Her journey, her personality, her visual identity, and her emotional atmosphere all come together to form a portrait of an artist who does not seek to shine brighter than others, but instead offers a different kind of light, gentle, warm, and enduring. And that is exactly why she continues to be cherished by many, not as a fleeting figure, but as a quiet presence that stays in the heart long after the moment has passed.